I'm telling you, when people near and dear to you circulate propaganda because they're going to circulate whatever's spoon fed to them, how many of you are willing to do the right thing? The person that just left this online, I care about him. The agenda on the top left was orchestrated in many ways and funded by the Rockefeller Trust. Next in line, you see something that doesn't reflect reality in any form or fucking way. The globe theory is a theory, and the flat earth is just as fucking ridiculous, and people haven't figured either of those out. The love is love crap. This is what was initially rolled out as the precursor to the horseshit we're dealing with today, having to do with social engineering agendas. And that might go over some of your heads, but you could watch some of the videos I've left online. Women have the right to choose. I don't disagree with that. That's also the sigil of Venus, which is no different from Lucifer, the light bearer, Lucy in the sky with diamonds, etc., etc., etc. I'm also not saying that Lucifer is a horrible fucking thing. It's part of our system. It's one of the wandering stars. They work in tandem. They govern things, including our fucking chakras. So anybody who's denounced, Lucifer is in a way bad-mouthing how they fucking function. I shit you not. There's a reason why it's the light bearer. It serves a purpose. It governs aspects of our system. There's a lot more to that, but I'm not going to get into it. Next in line is absolute fucking horseshit. And if you look at the color scheme, it's disharmonious as fuck. You would know that if you took the time to try to appreciate how light functions. And you probably don't know what I'm talking about because I'm being vague and I didn't spoon feed it to you. If people had kept up, if people were doing all the things that I've asked people to do for over 10 years, I would take the time and I would record a fucking video. Case in point, for Christmas, some sweet people bought me some prisms so that I could video the video that I'm talking about because I've been talking about it for a long time. And I would show you what I mean and why, if I'm not mistaken. What you're looking at right there in particular is fucking garbage. It's a bargain bin version of what represents reality. I'm telling you something right now. But people aren't keeping up by and large, and I am censored, and most of you aren't willing to do the right fucking thing to get around that and help me out. Yeah. So next in line, you got something that's being shopped around to normalize and justify much of the bullshit that came before this. It says diversity makes us stronger. If you watch movies, and people will refute this, and yet they don't watch movies from the era that they're, complaining about. 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, etc., etc. Some of those casts were pretty fucking diverse. There was no divisive bullshit in there. Not always. Not always. But there are some pretty fucking decent movies out there with strong female leads, etc., etc. I mean, Alien is one of them. So is Aliens. That's just one example. It's just one example. There's quite a few fucking gay movies too, and some of them are some of my favorites, to be perfectly fucking honest. And that might flip some of your lids. I was hanging with a gal here in Portland. This is a ways back, and it flipped her lid because she didn't expect me to list some of them based on the things that come out of my mouth and what I'm telling you today. I really like the Velvet Goldmine. I remember showing that to one of my old dead friends, and he's like, "What in the fuck are you watching?" Threw him off. But again, I like David Bowie, even though he's a fucking pedophile. I like some of the stuff that he knocked out, and I do like Iggy Pop, even though he also supported the fucking agenda from 2020 to present day. Those are also factors that you should factor in, having to do with those characters, but most people don't. What's the next one? I haven't read the next two because this shit's all shit. Small acts change the world. And small acts also reaffirm fucking social engineering agendas. They pave the way for fucking propaganda. And that's exactly what just took place 2 hours ago when a friend posted this to the internet. Kindness is everything. Well, I would prefer to be terribly fucking kind in this instance and not have to open my big mouth. But unfortunately, this is being circulated. This isn't censored. This is in the programming because people are being programmed. Best of all, it says, I believe. It's a belief-based system, through and fucking through. It is. Every single fucking thing in here is. It's true. I do think that women and men both should have the right to choose. Women and men should be able to do whatever the fuck they want to do with their bodies. They should. I mean, within reason. I don't frown on abortion. I don't think that people should be able to tell you what the fuck to do in that case. There's a lot of stupid people out there, and there's also a lot of people, at least, I mean, we're all dumb to varying degrees. But it's a slippery slope. If I made a baby right now, I wouldn't want to ask somebody, to get an abortion. One of my old buddies, he got off on it. And I'd call him up and tell him, hey, where are you at? He's like, oh, I'm at the abortion clinic. He loved that shit. He loved it. But he put women through that, and that's not all right. I mean, the ones that I knew of at the time wasn't right. But I also know some gals, and they love doing that shit. It's pretty fucked up. But it's a lot better than a fucked up person bringing a fucked up child into the world. But it's also murder to some degree. I mean, you're snubbing out a life. But then again, a lot of these people also, will wax poetic about how, there's reincarnation and energy never dies, because you got the pseudo-intellectuals out there that will rattle off Einsteinian bullshit. And the list goes on. And some of you might know what I'm talking about, the finer details, because I've left them in other videos, and I'm being very lazy with my words at the moment. Just the same, how many of you believe in most of this shit on here? How many of you reaffirm most of the shit on here? And the only one that I keep wanting to fight for is the one on the top right. To varying degrees, mind you. There's a lot involved in that. But at least they got the sigil right for Venus, because that does have to do with women, and it wasn't corrupted. At least you're not looking at the symbol for Mars. Because I wouldn't be surprised if it was suddenly, the sigil of Mars, and people were being told, to fight for women to have the choice to do what they need to do. Because that's how fucked up and upside down things are these days. Yeah. Should also point out, if you look at what the hands are forming down on the bottom right, and they're all encircling a heart, yeah? That's the sigil of the ether. Just saying. It's very simple for our masters to seed something to the internet, in this case, a meme. And gullible fucking people will repost it because they don't know what's going on. They've never thought about any of this. They've never looked into any of this. And they want to fall in line because small acts change the world and kindness is everything. Diversity makes us stronger.